Welcome back to a new video, and on this occasion is CYDRUMS. This is not a review, it's a deep dive guide about this device. This guide is organized into chapters. You can easily navigate to a very specific section by using the description or the timeline of this video. If you like all of this, please like and subscribe. This channel is supported by viewers only, so if you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks, you can. Go to the links at the description and you have the links for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon. So on CYDRUMS, you work on top of projects. You need to go to Func, and once you hold the Func, go to the one that says Pad. Below it says Project, and you will be on the project screen. On all the different screens, you can use the keypad just to navigate, or you can use the encoders, the A, B, C, or D. In this case, when you go to a project, you can select a new, you can save as, or even rename or delete. So I'm going to go there and press OK. So right here, you select the current working project. And on this device, you go to the left and the right, and you will be going by tenths. That is, I can go really fast to the end of the list. On this one, you get a total, or you can use a total of 256 projects. Once you have a project selected, if you want to get out of the screen, you press clear and you always go back to the main screen. So when you are on a project, you work with patterns. To select a pattern, you go to the PTN, go there. On the screen, you can use the arrows just to go by 16, but also notice that as I changing the pattern, notice that the lights change. And this is because you can use the pads just to select a different pattern. Once you find the pattern that you want, you just select it, you press OK, and there you go. You get out by doing clear, just go to clear, and then you just play back the pattern. On CYDRUMS, each project can hold up to 128 patterns. So if you multiply 256 by 128, you get a lot. So each pattern has 128 steps, and it has 8 different tracks that you can use. Each of the tracks will use the different params that you have right here at the top to get some sound out of it. So every time that you want a sound, you will need to use the param pages. On most of the param pages, you have the main screen and the secondary screen. If I go to the S&D, which is the sound param, let's say, if I go there, I get this screen. But then if I tap again, it takes me to the second screen where I can select the sound engine that I would like to use for this track. Also, every time you go to a param page, you need to use the aux buttons. If I go, for example, to the first page of the sound, I get edit and I get reload. But then if I go to the second one, I get back and I get the SD tone, which is the sound engine. In this case, if I press back, notice it takes me back to the main screen of sound. Now, we will talk about the sound engines, the structures that you get, because they go deep and you have a lot. One thing that you need to know, because maybe you're watching this video just to know a little bit more about CYDRUMS, you can create a lot more different sounds than just drums. So you can do a lot of things. And it's because of all the different params and the different sounds or structures that you can select just to create different sounds. Now, on top of this, you have a song mode right here, song. If I go to function and then go to the one that says copy, right there, it says song. If I go there, I get a list of songs I can select. How this works is that on each project, you can host up to 16 songs. Now, 16 doesn't sound like a lot, but the point is that a song can remember a combination of 99 patterns of the 128 that you get on each project. And a song could be a complete performance. Notice that when you are on a very specific place, you can go to clear, just keep tapping, and it will always go back to the main screen or whatever param that you have selected. And okay, so just recapping, you have projects. Once you have a project, you go to a pattern. Once you are on a pattern, you use the 128 steps with the 8 different tracks. Now we have more. When you are on a track, whatever track, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go to this one. Then you have this sound. So when you go to the sound, the first screen of the sound, right there at the top, you will see the patch name. So this means that you can choose different patches. If I keep tapping and then I change this, I can select different patches or presets. So since you can go to the different params, you can create your own sounds and then you can save them to use later. You can save up to 1024 sound patches. And also, since you can create patches and you have maybe a combination that you really like about the 8 different sounds, you can save a drum kit. For that, you go to Function and then you go to Kit, and it will take you to the drum kit menu. Right here, you can recall, maybe if I play something, you can just keep playing and then just change to a different sound kit, and it will use that combination of the 8 different tracks that you saved. Right, cool. Now, of course, right now I'm just selecting, but if we go to an empty patch, notice that you can store your own kit. I will go to pattern and then I will go to, I don't know, the pattern number 1. Why not? I'm gonna go there and just play back. So maybe you would think that that's it, but no, we have more. The whole pattern goes through a customizable effects section, and you can see the whole flow right here. When you're on a sound, you have the configuration page. It uses oscillators, then it goes to the sound, then goes through a filter, a modulation section, and then it goes out. So all the different tracks will go out in some fashion to the EFX section. The EFX, of course, is a combination of 2 different effects, a master effects and a reverb. If I go to the EFX and just keep tapping at some point, you will be getting to this screen. So if I play it back, the whole track, this preset by default is going to this combination. But if I want to, I can go here and select a different preset for the EFX. And the EFX is a combination of different effects and routings that you can use, and of course you can store. If I change it, notice it's doing something different. And you can change it on the fly. Now you have a lot of different presets, like 256, and you also have empty slots, so you can create your own EFX patches and then use them on your performance. So as you can see, this device is wild. You can do a lot of things. Now the plan of this video is that you can progressively learn something new on each section and master this device at the end of this video. So if you think about this, this is a free course about CYDRUMS. The display will give you a lot of information about the current playback. So you get the pattern number, then you have the sequencer page and the playback and the length of the pattern. Also, you have the tempo, which is something that you can change right here. It's not just to tap tempo. When you tap it, it will take you to the tempo screen. We will talk about this in a minute. Now, if you want to change patterns, you go to the pattern screen and you can easily change the patterns from here. So the patterns will tell you which pattern you have selected, and remember we talked about this, you can go by 16s or you can use the page buttons. If I go up, notice that it goes up. So for now I'm going to go all the way to the beginning. Right now I'm playing the pattern number 2. What I can do, I can maybe select a different pattern. It will be selected, and then I'm going to tap it again. Once you tap it again, it will cue that pattern in. I'm going to do it again. We'll go there. I'm going to go to the number 2, select it, and then just tap it again to cue it in. Another thing that you can do when you go to a pattern and you want to select a new one or cue a new one in, you can go select it and then press the OK. Once you press OK, it will go back and then play the next one. Cool. If you are playing a pattern, hold the function and just select a pattern will immediately play the other pattern. So you will not be just queuing, you will be just playing. Now notice that when I select a pattern and I cue the next one, or maybe I do function and I change it, it will always take me back to the main screen. Which is maybe something I just don't want. Maybe I want to stay on the pattern screen. This is something that we can change on the system settings. By default, the main behavior is that when you're playing, if you go to a next one to cue in, it will always take you back to the screen, so you can just play with the knobs if you are on a performance. But maybe if you're practicing, this can be a little bit annoying. Hold the function, go to the system, and then go down until you see the pattern select. So then you go to OK, and notice it says auto return. If you want to turn it off, you can turn it off like that, and then just go back to the main screen. So now if I'm playing and maybe I go to the pattern select, I can go here and then I can play or cue the next pattern and it will cue, but I am on this same screen. Now if you're playing something and that something gets stuck, or maybe you just want to kill or stop the execution, you can go to clear, just hold it and press play and it will kill all the sounds. It doesn't matter what, it will kill it. So clear, hold it, and then play. Now a couple more things. Let's say that you have a pattern and I'm going to show you how to change and how to edit the patterns in a second. But if I change something about that pattern and I don't like it, you're not changing that pattern for good. You can go back to the pattern, and once you have that one selected, go to reload and it will reload the pattern. It will ask you, you want to reload the sequence, the params, or all. In this case, I will select all, and once you do all, it will recover the changes or reload the changes and you get the pattern back. Still, if you are in a track and you change something about that track, let's say I'm gonna change the kick. I will go to the sound and I just gonna select a different preset, let's say. So that preset, it doesn't belong with the pattern until we save it. So if I want to reload the sound or the patch that was assigned to this pattern, I can go to the sound, the first page of sound, and then go to reload, and it will reload the pattern. So this means that you can get a pattern and then just try something else. And if you don't like it, you can always go to reload and go back to what you had from before. A couple more things about playing back. You have the value knob. This one is the volume for the headphones. And this one is the volume, when you're not tapping it, is the master volume. Right? So that's fine. Master volume. Now then, you have the pattern level. So I can go to function, hold it, and when you move it, now is the pattern level. So this means that you can adjust the levels of the different patterns. So then when you cue patterns, if you want to match the levels, you can. Of course, when you do funk and you change the level of a pattern, you need to save that pattern. So we can control the master and the pattern. How can we control the levels of each of the tracks? Well, you can do it from the amp, but you also have the mixer. Notice that it says mix. So when you go to mix, and I'm going to play it for now, I can see the mixer of my pattern. And right here, when you select a track, notice that it will let me know that we are selecting it. You can silently select a track by doing function and just tapping that track. And once you are on a track, you can go here and just change the level of that track. Just like that. Then this one will adjust the panning, the kick to the left or to the right. Now then the C and the D will be about the filter. So if I maybe go to this sound, right here I can change the filter, the cutoff, and this one will change the Q or the resonance. So when we are talking about filters, we are talking about this section. So if I go here and just maybe go back to mix and do something completely different and then go back, notice just, looks way different. So yeah, when you go to the mix and you change the filter, you are altering the filter page. Another cool thing is the global. So when global is enabled, it means that whatever is that you do to these controls will be applied to all the different patterns that you want to play back. And this is of course special if you want to use it on a performance, because when you change patterns, you will be doing the same thing on the mixer when you cue new patterns in. The SND Param is fundamental for this device. You have mainly two pages, the first one, and then you have the second one, which shows you the sound structure that you are using. Now, on the first one, you can do a few very useful things, and all of this depends on which track you are selecting. As we discussed with the A knob, you can change the patch, but it's kind of hard to change it. Also, notice that every time that you select a patch, it will start with something about that sound. So CP for claps. If I keep scrolling, at some point, I'm going to get to percussions, then keep moving forward, bells, and again, it just shows you the name of the patch, but it will start with the initials of that type of sound. Still, again, you need to scroll just to get the sound that you want. And that's not that good. Well, the thing is that you can go here, just press the A, and it will take you to the patch menu. Here, you can find patches by selecting tags. This is how it works. You need to use the pads that you have at the bottom, the param tags and the track pads, to select the tags. For example, let's say that right here it says bass drums. So I'm gonna go here and just tap this one. This one goes blue, and now I have bass drum selected. So everything that I'm selecting right here will be about bass drums. If I again scroll with the arrows, I can audition the different patches. Once I find one that I like, I can just go OK, and that patch will be selected and used on that track. I'm going to go back to the menu, just press the A. And again, you can select by tags. You can select by many different tags. It depends on the patches that you have stored in memory. You can go right here, just tap this one, and you will be toggling the favorite patches. And also you can exclude by tags. If I hold this one, instead of including, notice that now it's yellow, we are excluding by tags. So let's say I want to see all the different patches, but not the bass drums. So I'm gonna hold this and it will show me everything, but not the bass drums. And like before, you can exclude many if you want. In this case, I want to see all. If you want to edit the tags of a sound, once you have one selected, maybe I'm going to go to that one, you need to go to the B, just tap it, and this one goes green. So now I can add or remove tags to that sound. Once you're ready, you just need to go to the B, push it again, and it will save the changes. Now let's say that you want to save a patch. You created something and you want to save it. So you need to scroll just to find an empty slot. Well, not really. You need to go to the C, just tap it, and it will take you to the empty presets. Also, by tapping the D, it will show you the ones that have no tag. This is why now everything is yellow. It's showing you the patches that have no tag at all. And you can, of course, tap it to go back to default. Now, once you are on a patch or empty patch, you need to go to the menu and it will give you more options. You can load and save or rename or delete a patch. Then you can see this import and export. So this means that you can import and export sounds to the SD card that goes right here on the right side. So if you run out of space on the actual device, you can use the SD card to store and retrieve different patches or different presets. When you select a patch or just whatever sound, it doesn't matter, you can control different things about this sound. That is that usually all of the different patches are super sensitive in terms of velocity. Well, this is something that you change with the B. If you go down, you pretty much saying there's no sensitivity at all on this pad. If I go all the way up, it means that it's just fully sensitive. I'm gonna disable this sensitivity. Now then, at the bottom, you can change the pitch. You can go down in pitch or up in pitch, really high. And then another thing that you can do with the D is that if you tap it, you can change the release and then you can change the volume. Now this is talking about the amp. I'm going to put it on 100. If I go to the amp, notice at the bottom it says volume and then 100. Now if I go back to the sound and I change this to something else, the amp will change. So again, this release is about the release of the amp envelope and the volume of the amp. This screen is just one part of the deal. Each of the tracks will create a sound, and the sound, it's made out of 22 different sound engines or structures. And we see it when we tap again the S&D param. It takes you and shows you the structure that it's using. And right here, you can go to the second aux button and you can select a different structure. For example, right now it's using a bass drum, but I can maybe go and select a different type of bass drum and the whole thing will change. Notice that now it's just a little bit different. So when you choose a different sound engine or structure, it will sound different. And right here with the A, B, C, and D and the combinations of just tapping the A and the D, you can change different params of that algorithm. And this is why, this can be simple if you don't mess a lot with different algorithms, but it can get really complex because you have a lot of different options to customize your sounds. Now, on this video or course or deep dive, whatever you want to call it, I will not go through all the different sound structures that you get because that would be crazy. I could just record a 3 hours video just showing you the 22 different algorithms, just going one by one. And maybe you want that. I don't know if you want that. Let me know down in the comments. Still, if you go to the manual, right there, it explains very well every sound engine and all the different options and configuration or params that you get for each structure. Now, one thing that you need to know before we move on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can only select 14 of the 22 different structures that you get. And that's because on the last 3, you get the rest. And they are more suited to get, the closed hats, open hats, and then cymbals. And this is why maybe if you select the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, you're not getting the other sound structures, it's because you need to go to this track and then you will be getting, the ones that you want in this case. We will talk a little bit more about this when we discuss swapping different sounds between tracks or copying tracks to other tracks. Now, it makes sense that we continue to maybe the oscillator page and then go through the filter and the amp and everything else, but that would be, in my opinion, really boring. When I get a device like this, of course, it's nice to know how to create a sound, but the first thing I want to learn is how to create a performance or how to create a pattern and then save it and then edit the patterns, because we could really just do it by using just presets. And then once we know how everything works on this device, then we dedicate ourselves to learn the very specific parts just to, shape the sounds the way we want to. So let's keep moving forward, learn how to create patterns, and then I will go through the different param pages and show you what they can do. Before we discuss how to create patterns, tap the tempo value to access to the metronome and tempo menu. Right here with the A, you can just turn it to change the tempo, and if you hold function, you can fine-tune the tempo. Then the next one, it's going to be the swing. It's going to be the B. So when you go up on the swing, this will be the global swing. So all the different tracks will just use that global value. Now, when you change the settings, it doesn't matter what you do right here. When you go to the aux number 2, it will reload the default settings that you had from before. And this is great, especially if you're working on a performance. If I'm playing a track and I maybe change the tempo or the swing, I can always go back and say reload and go back to what I had from before. Now there's one more thing right here, and it's going to be the function. When you hold the function, notice that the A and the 2, the 1 and the 2, they change. So this means that when you're holding the function, you can divide and go half. And then as soon as you tap it again, you go back to normal. Same with the function and the number 2, you're going to multiply. So it's going to go faster. When you tap it again, it's going to go back to normal again. Now, if you press the C and the D, this will turn on the count in or the metronome. And this is, of course, when you are recording. I'm going to go to a pattern where we have nothing, and I'm just going to select that one. And if I play, I get just nothing back. So back to this menu, if I turn on the metronome, I get the metronome when playing back. And if I do recording and then play, I'm recording, but I'm getting the metronome. So this is why you would get it. And this one would be the volume. You can go down in volume or just go all the way up. If you want some pre-count, you can just turn this on and then select the amount of ticks that you want to count. If I go to rec, I'm saying 4, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it starts recording. Then the aux number 1 would be the global, so we can do this by pattern or we can change it to global, meaning that if we do a pattern and we have some settings with the tempo and the swing, especially, if I go to a pattern and change the pattern, it will use maybe a different tempo and a different swing. But if we go here and we enable global, every time that we change to a new pattern, it will use whatever is that we are using as a global configuration. On this device, you can record real time or you can do step sequencing, and both are related because the step sequencing would be the way we get to edit the sequence. My recommendation is for you to learn all the different methods. First, I will go to an empty pattern. It's just a completely empty pattern. If I go to the tempo settings, we know that we can use the count in. I'm going to use it, and then the metronome is just going to be off. To get out, we go to clear. To record, you need to go to rec. Once this is armed, when you press the play, if you had some count in, it will count in. In this case, I have 4, so it will count 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you just get it. If you want to audition one of the tracks before you record it, you can get out of rec and it will keep on playing. So you can maybe go to a different track and practice. And whenever you're ready, you just go back to rec and you record it. Now, if you don't like the take while recording is on, you can go to the clear, just press and hold, and you can just go to the pad that you recorded and just press it, and it will delete the whatever pattern that you recorded. If I go to the snare, it will just clear it, and then the kick. If you record something else, you can go to the clear, just press and hold, and then go to the actual step and just step it to delete that very specific step. If I go to the number 5, this is going to be a synth type of sound. I could go to the pad, and this one will give you a keyboard type of layout, so you can just play different pitches, and we will talk about this, but you can select the scale and change the root and everything else. The main point right now is that you can record all of this. I can go to rec and then do some playing. It will count in and start the sequence, and then we just get it. I'm gonna go to the tempo and just go down a little bit on the metronome volume because it's just, a little bit annoying. Just like before, in rec, if you don't want the notes, you can go to clear and just delete all the different notes. And if you want to record something again, you just, again, you get it. Now, the thing is that when you are on pad mode, you cannot go back and select a different track. Well, you can actually. If you hold the function, you can maybe select a different track, and when I go there and I release, I'm still on pad mode. So this means that I could just play different pitches of a different track. If I do hold and go to this one, I can play different pitches. Of course, this sounds like crap. What if I wanted to delete whatever is that we did without exiting the pad mode? Well, just like we did before, I could go to function, then hold it, and if you go to and you need to be on rec, hold the clear and just delete the different tracks. We have it right there, and then go here, and we kind of delete everything while still being on the pad mode. Always remember that if you are on rec or not on rec, whenever you are on a different mode, by doing function, you can always change to different tracks. If I record something right here, I'm going to go to rec and then play 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that the track is a little bit off. And this is because the quantization is off by default. So you need to go to the CFG, which is the configuration, and B, you need to go to that track. Again, function, and you go to that track. If you go to the second screen by tapping the configuration again, right here you have the quantize. If you want to quantize that sequence or that track, you need to go all the way up to 100. Same as before, I'm going to go to this one, I'm going to go up on the quantize. And now the kick and the snare are quantized. On CYDRUMS, you cannot configure the quantization for all the tracks. All the different tracks are going to be independent. If you want to quantize them, you need to always go to the configuration and set it to 100. I'm going to be on rec, and then I'm going to go to clear and just tap the track so I can delete everything. And if I play it back, we got nothing. So what you can do, instead of just going and recording the pattern on real time, you can just go out of rec, and when you press this, press the pad, go to the step while playing and just press and add the step. And you can just create a pattern like this without doing real-time recording. If I do a snare, this is going to remember the velocity. So, and if I do something super soft, this will just record with that velocity. Can you do this when you are recording? Well, kind of yeah, you can. I'm going to go to clear and just clear that one. I am recording. I'm going to do play, and I'm going to go here and just go to function, select that one, and I can just add different steps. If you, of course, don't do funk, you don't hold the funk and you play it, it will record that step, like so. If you want to clear the steps, you can go to clear, just press and hold, and like before, you can just tap the different steps and clear the different steps. Now, again, can you do this while playing back and not recording? If I go to clear, hold it, and then go to the steps, I can easily remove the steps. If I go to maybe the pad number 5, notice that this one sustains when I just hold the pad. So what you can do, especially when you're real-time recording, when you record a step, notice it's pretty long. And you will see that the number 3 is just stronger, and the other ones have a pale orange. And this is because the pale orange are going to be tied notes of the step number 3. So if I go to the step number 3 and delete the number 3, everything will get deleted. So on CYDRUMS, the pads are super sensitive. You can configure this if you go to the system. If you don't remember, is function and then system, and you can go to the pads. I'm going to go down here, and then you go to the menu and you set the velocity and everything else. And also, you can do aftertouch, but this depends on the sound engine that you're using. So messing with the steps right here, it's also the edit mode. It's like the step sequencing edit mode. If I go to rec and notice that the play is just not playing, I can go maybe to the kick and see all the different steps. Same if I go to the snare, we have something there. And right here, I can just add steps when recording is on and just add the different steps without, playing back. If I, again, stop the playback, I can go maybe to this one, maybe add a couple more snares, go back and just delete the ones we don't want, and we don't need to hold clear and everything else. It's just going to go and edit the sequence. This is not something that you can do when you, of course, are playing back, or maybe when you are out of rec. I will go to the number 5, which is the synth, and I will go to the pad. What's going to happen if we maybe go to step sequence mode and I just add one note right there, and I can do 2, or I can do 3, and I can do more. So now we have kind of a chord, and this will be recorded to the step number 1. So I can maybe go to the step number 4, and notice that this one is green. This one is the current step, and this one, of course, has notes. If I go back to this one, it will tell you which notes you have recorded into that step. If I go to number 5, maybe I'm going to do 1, 8, or maybe 7. I'm going to do 1, go here, and just do a chord. And every time that we change, it's going to show you everything that you have on that step. And of course, when you select this step, since you're on step edit mode, you can just remove the different notes or just go to clear and just delete the whole step. I will go to a new pattern, whatever, it doesn't matter, just going to select that one. And now we have a kind of a default pattern, empty pattern. And we'll go to the kick, and it will record a kick on the just a 4th floor. And if I play it back, we get that one. And then if I go and do live record, I'm going to record snare. And that's fine. So notice it's just a little bit off. So what we can do, I'm going to get out of rec and get out of play. You can access the step data of each step. To do this, you need to go to function, hold it, and then tap the step that you want to edit. So the screen will show you everything that you have recorded to that step. And if you, of course, go to the step number 13, at the top, it will tell you that you are on the 13 or the 5 or whatever other step where you have something recorded. So with the A, you can just navigate to different values that you can change, the different params. And here you can change the note, you can change the velocity for that step, the modulation velocity. You have something called rolls, but then at the bottom, you have something called micro timings. And if you remember, when I've recorded the 5 and the 13, they were a little bit off. So this shows you how off they are and how long the note is. So when I go here and I play it, I can go to the C and adjust the timing from here directly. I don't need to quantize, I can do it from here. Still, if I want to offset the step, I can again do it from here. If I want to maybe play it before, I can. And that is it. Now it's just a little bit, before the pocket of the 5. I'm going to put it around the center. So then the other options are super important because on this one you can change, of course, the note or the pitch depending on the sound that you're using. You can also edit the velocity. Let's say, for example, that you want to record hi-hats and you want to change the velocity. Well, you go to the step edit and you edit this. If I go down in velocity, you will hear the difference. There you go. You can also use the up and the down to navigate the different params. Then the roll, and I need to play this back, will make the step roll. And this is something that you get on a lot of different sequencers. Notice that now it's just re-triggering that step. If I keep going up, it's going to be more and more. And you can go all the way up to 1/64. So on the step edit, these ones are the default values, what you can do. And I'm just going to disable, right for now, the roll. Whenever you record something, all the different params or the different steps will record some of the params. So when you record something into your sequence and you want to edit a very specific step and a very specific param, you need to go to the step edit to edit that param. Let me just show you, I'm gonna clear all of this. I don't want anything right here. I'm just gonna select a different patch. I'm gonna go to the sound and go to the patch list. I'm going to select the patch 264. This is the one. So if I play this and I used aftertouch, notice that I'm getting something else when I use the aftertouch. Well, what we can do, we can record this to the sequence. I'm gonna do it multiple times. So when I stop this, I want to edit that aftertouch param. I'm gonna go to function and then go to one of the steps. So now when I select a step on the step edit, I can use the A to scroll and select that value or that whatever property that we recorded. In this case, it was aftertouch, so we can see the pressure values right here. And if I go maybe to a different step, we can do the same thing. We can go here and then use the B to edit the different values. And this applies for pretty much everything. If I maybe go to the filter and I record something right here by moving these values, and this will get recorded. And then if you want to edit the steps, you just again go to the function, go to that step, you find the param, and then you edit the param. We're going to get back to the step edit when we talk about param locking. To finish with the whole editing the sequence or the pattern, when you go to clear, you hold the clear and you go to a track and you press it, it will give you this option. It says clear track data. So it says track. It's talking about the track, not the params, not the pattern. And we can just do the same. If I hold the clear and then go to the pattern, it gives you almost the same screen, but it says pattern. So it's talking about the whole pattern. Right, so let's say I want to clear the data that I have for this track. If I go to clear and hold it and then just press the pad, you have different options. You can use all, you can use PRM, which is the params. When you do OK, it will clear the param for the track, but it will not clear the track. You can clear only the notes, which are the patterns, the steps that you recorded to the patterns. You have the PRS, this is the pressure or aftertouch, and then you have the param locks. So yeah, you can only delete the locks, the pressure, the notes, the params, or you can do it all at once. If I do OK, it's going to clear pretty much the whole thing, and it will go back to the back to defaults on this pad. If I play it, we get the sound that I had from before on this pattern. So it clears pretty much everything, including the patch. If I wanted to clear the whole pattern, it's the same deal. Hold the clear and then go to the pattern, and you can clear the params, you can clear the nodes, which is the step data, then the aftertouch or the param blocks. But this is talking about the pattern. You will be clearing all the different tracks that you have on your pattern. And it's the same, just select one of the options and then do OK, and it will pretty much restore everything. Okay, so far we know how to record sequences, how to enter to each of the steps and edit the data with the step data. But we need to talk about the CFG page. This one is super important for each of the tracks. CFG stands for configuration. So if I go here, maybe to this the track number 1, this one gives you 2 different pages. And notice right here, this one says sequence and the other one says groove. On the first page, the sequence, this is talking about the sequence in this track, and you can do simple things like transpose with the B, and you can of course go up or you can go down. And then at the top, you have the options for the length and the note. And this is about the sequence. I'm going to explain that in a minute. Then the other option that you have on the B is the choke group. If you don't know what that is, it means that the track cannot play with a different track that belongs to the same group. Let me just give you an example. By default, when you load a default pattern, if you go to the 6, the close hats are going to be on the group number 1. If I go to the 7, this one is on the number 1. So if I go here and add a step to this, to the 5 and the 13, and I do the same to this one, well, they will never overlap because they belong to the same group. So it will only play the number 7, and the 6 will not play because the 7 is playing on the same step. And you do this because you don't want for both sounds to overlap. So you add them to the same group. Still, you can go here and say that you want to turn this off and turn this off. And when you play it back, both paths will overlap. This depends, of course, on what you want to do. You can use up to 4 different groups. I'm going to put them on 1 just to leave it as default. Again, the length and the note, we will talk about that in a minute. If you keep tapping the CFG, you will be switching taps, and you can, press the first aux button and you can go to the sequence again, or you can go to the groove. On the groove tab, the first option is going to be the swing. And notice that if I go to the 2nd or 3rd and all the different tracks, the value it's going to be pattern. This is because they will listen to the global groove. If I go to the tempo, this one is the global groove or swing. But you can, if you go to a track, change the per pattern. And if I go up, it will give you a percentage. And now this track will use its own swing values. If I change tracks, notice that this one is on pattern. So yeah, you can do on a per track type of swing. I will just make it pattern, go back to pattern. Now then you have more options. We already know the quantize. Depending on what you record, you can quantize just a tiny little bit or go all the way up and it will be fully quantized. Then at the left, you have the dice. And for this, I guess I'm going to need to give you an example. If I go here and just add a step to pretty much the whole 16 steps and I play it back, we will be getting something like this. And I guess this one is playing as well. I'm going to delete it. So the dice is the probability. As I go down, a lot of the steps are less probable to play. And you will be getting kind of a random type of deal. A lot of the samplers and sequencers get this feature. So yeah, it's kind of a randomized type of function. Okay, so back to nothing. If I play it back, we have nothing. At the bottom, you have different modes. If you press the 2nd button, it says normal, then you get the random, and then you get stutter. The normal is what we've been using. It's just a normal type of pattern. But I can go to maybe the random, and notice that the B, now it's not grayed out, and you can do something. For now, we're just going to go here and just add different steps so we can really hear this. And if I play back, we have something, and it's just pretty normal. It starts on the 1, and it will end on the 16. Now, on the random, it means that it will play a sequence and then jump to different places on that sequence. If I maybe choose 4, notice that it starts here, it will end, and then it will jump somewhere and continue from there. Of course, we can do maybe 2, and it will be a little bit more obvious. So it's just, jumping to different steps. And of course, you can go up to 16. Doesn't make sense, but, maybe if I go to 8, sometimes it's going to play the first row and then go to the second one, or start on the second one and then go to the first. So yeah, it's just random. Nice feature. So let me stop this. The other thing that you get is the next mode. When I go to that mode, it's going to be the stutter. And the B, it's disabled. I'm going to go to clear and just clear everything on this track. So I will go here and just add the step on the 1 and the step on the 9. If I play it back, we just get 1 and 9. That's fine. I will go to stutter. So if I stay right here, nothing happens. If I play the pad, well, it's just the same deal. The stutter is that you can, while this is playing, press a step and it will make it stutter. That's it. This could be, nice for a performance. The pattern length is decided by the configuration page, the CFG. If you keep tapping, it will say at the top length and then note. I will go to the track number 1 and select that one. With the A, you can change the length of the track of the pattern. If I go up, we have 32, and notice that as I go up, the screen will let you know how long that pattern is, and you can go up to 128 steps. Now, this is a per track type of deal. So you could have a super long kick pattern, but then if you go to the next track, notice that this one is 16, and you can maybe make this one 32. And if I go down, I can make this one single step. And this is how CYDRUMS work. You cannot do it on a global type of fashion. You need to go to each of the tracks and then just change the length of the pattern. I will go to the bass drum. On this one, we have 128 steps. The thing is that you can only see 16 steps. How can you change the different pages? So this is why you have the black arrows to the left and to the right. If I go here, notice that it changes colors. It's blue. So if I tap this one, now I'm on the second page of the sequence. If I go here, I am on the last page of the sequence. So yeah, this is how you can navigate the different pages. If I go to the second track, this one is 32 steps long. If I hold it, we only get 2 pages. And if you go maybe to the number 3, I'm going to make it maybe 16 steps. If you hold it, notice that you don't have blue pages, and it's because you only have one single page. You have 16 steps. I'm going to go back to the kick track. I'm going to make it 16 steps. Why not? And then I'm going to do something, and I will add to the 1, the 9, the 5, and the 13. And if I play it back, we have a type of kind of a 4 on the floor, of course. So if I go to the page and just press it, we don't have pages. It's not long enough. So I can go here and go up. Now it's 32 steps. So maybe you notice that the page number 2 has no steps. So by changing the length of the sequence or maybe the track, you're not duplicating the 16 steps to the next page. To extend the length of the pattern and copy whatever is that you have right here, you need to go to function and then hold it. And notice now it says duple. So now if I go up, it will copy whatever I had on the 16s and it will just take it to the next page. And this is how we can duplicate the length of the pattern. If I move it again, instead of being 48, it's going to be 64 because we are duplicating. And you can go all the way up to 128 and you will be getting something on each of the pages. If you're not holding the function, notice that by tapping, you are going to be changing the length by 1s, by 16s, or by 8s. So if I do 16s, this means that when I scroll this, it's just going to go by 16s. Makes sense. If I tap it again, and I do 8, it's going to go by 8s. If I tap it again, it's going to go by 1s. So if we want to, we can make a sequence of, 14 steps long, or maybe even less, maybe 4 steps long. If we play that, it's just going to be 4 steps. Still, when you trim the length of the pattern and then you extend it, notice that it will remember the different steps. And I kind of made a mistake right there. I need to go back to the configuration. I'm going to tap it and do by 16s. I'm going to go all the way up, and we recover all the different pages that we had from before. Then you have the note, and on this one, I guess I'm going to go to the hats. And I'm going to make it 16 steps. So the notes are pretty much, the division of the pattern. I'm going to add one here and then one here, and if I play it back, it's just going to be that. Maybe I'm going to add it right there. Cool. So right now we are doing 1/16. If I go up, it's going to play faster. Triplets, we can make it 30 seconds and use whatever division. And as you notice, this is a per track or per track type of deal. If I go to the kick, that one is 1/16, and of course the hats are 1/64. Back to a default pattern with nothing on that pattern, I will start playback, and of course we can manually play the different tracks. We know this. So you have access to the D path, and these ones will roll, just like we did with the edit step. The only difference is that you need to press and hold the pad, and then just press some pads, and this will make the pad roll. In the case of the right, it's going to be 8 note, and you can use a combination of left and then down, or right and up, and so on and on. This is why you have the tiny little markings right here. So if I go to down and then right, you get triplets, then it's going to be 16s, then 8 triplets, 30 seconds, then 16s, and then you have 64s. If you use the up and the right, nothing will happen. A cool thing is that you can use the D-roll to create a sequence. If I do rec and then play, it's going to count in, and then it will start recording. So if I go here and just press it or just use the D-roll, it will save it. Cool. Now let me stop it. I'm going to clear the whole thing, and I'm going to go back to having absolutely nothing. One thing that you need to know is that the dice that we get on the configuration page will affect the D-roll. If I go to the second page, the dice is on 100, which means that it will always play. But if I go down on the dice, this will affect the execution, and it will affect, of course, the steps. So if I go here and just press it, we are getting a random type of thing. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the pad mode. If I maybe go to this one, which is the default synthesizer sound that you get, and I go to pad, we know that we can just play different pitches of that track. At the top, the A and the B will change something about the scale. You can use chromatic. You have a lot of different scales that you can really use. And then you can, I guess I'm going to go to minor, and then you can change the key of the scale. Then at the bottom, you have the octave, so you can change octaves, as you can see. And then you can change the glide. Right now, it's not gliding, but if I go up, and then I press a note and I hold, we get that glide effect. Also, by using when on pad mode, when using the right and the left, we'll just shift the keyboard up or down. Now, when you're in the pad mode, notice that right here it says go back. So when you press it, it will go back to the default screen, but notice that you still are on the pad mode. And this is because you can use the different controls to modulate some of the params that you have right here. Now, the problem is that when you are on pad mode, if you want to, let's say, go to the filter so you can modulate some of the controls, you need to get out of the pad mode just by pressing the pad, then going to filter, then going to the pad, and then going to back to see the filter page. But you don't need to. If you go to function, and then select a different param, you get access to that param. And when you release it, it's going to go back to the pad mode. Same thing if you want to select a different track. If I do hold the function and go to a different track, I can, go maybe select a different track. If I release, I'm on the pad mode of that track. Now, this is super important because maybe you want to play something, but you also want to maybe change some of the params that you have available without getting out of the param mode. And that's, the whole point. If you want to go back to the pad mode screen, just press the pad mode or press the pad, and it will take you back to that screen. Another thing that you get is the legato. You can turn it on or you can turn it off with the second button. And this is just like a synthesizer. If you don't want legato, turn it off. If you want it, turn it on. For now, I'm going to keep it off. Another thing that you get, it's not really related to the pad mode, but it's just a nice function that you get. If you hold the OK and you press a key, it will hold it for you. If I maybe hold it again and go to a different key, that is that it's just holding different keys. And this is something that you can do on pad mode, or maybe you can do on track mode. If I hold the OK and just press it, notice that it will hold that note for me. If you are holding and you want to kill the hold, just pressing the pad will kill it. Or maybe you can go to hold again, to OK again, hold it or press it, and then just press the pad again. Can you hold the roll? So yeah, you can. You need to do OK, hold the roll, and then just press whatever pad and release. And it's gonna hold it for you. To clear or stop it, you can just press the pad. And if I do it again, you can also do the same by doing OK and then clear, and it will stop pretty much everything. Before we talk about the different param pages, I want to show some copy-paste actions that are very important, and do not skip this, you will use them the whole time. To copy-paste, you have the copy right here, and how it works, let's say that I'm going to go to this one. If I go to the oscillator page, I want to copy this param, this oscillator, and just paste it to different tracks. To do this, you go to the copy, you press and hold, notice it's red, and then I'm going to tap the param page. So this one will copy the param page, and notice that the copy, it's blinking. If I want to paste the same oscillator page or the param page to a different track, I need to go to the copy, just press and hold, and then and only then I can paste it to a different track. And we can copy, of course, to different pages. When I release, if I go there, we have the same oscillator, and the same oscillator. Notice that the copy will not go away. On some devices, when you copy and you paste, it will clear the memory, but it's not how CYDRUMS works. Once you copy something, it will stay in memory until you delete it. And this is so you can go to copy and again paste it on multiple places. If you want to remove whatever is that you have on the memory, you need to go to clear, hold it, and then press the copy, and you delete the memory or you reset the memory of the copy. Back to a default pattern. What if you want to copy a track? We know how to copy params. I want to maybe copy this track. I'm going to add some steps right here, and if I play this back, we will be getting it. So if I want to copy this, whatever is that we have on this track, and maybe paste it, it's just the same deal. I'm going to go to copy, hold it, and then I'm going to copy the track. And then you can hold it again and you can paste it to a different track. And this will copy and paste the whole track, including the steps. So now we have it on just 2 different tracks. And again, to clear, you go to clear, you hold it, and then you tap on the copy. I'm going to go back to the pattern and then reload it and select pretty much everything because I just want to reset the pattern. Now, what if you want to copy and paste a step? So yeah, I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to add it right there. And if I want to copy, I will go to copy and tap the step. And then if I want to paste it, you hold the copy, it goes red, and you can paste it on different places. So now if I play it, we get it. I'm going to go to clear and just reset the whole thing. Now, what if you want to copy a page? Well, you can do it. You can do it. It's kind of funny. You need to hold the copy and then you need to go to the page. In this case, we only have one single page. Well, you need more pages. You cannot duplicate pages of the pattern just like this. So you need to go to the configuration and then you need to have more steps. So I'm gonna, I don't know, let's do 128. And if I play this back, this one is the first page and the rest is completely empty. So what I can do, I can go to copy, then go to the page and then just copy the page. And if I want to paste it, it's the same deal. Hold copy, go here, and then I'm gonna paste it here, and I'm gonna paste it here. So if I play it back, we will be getting it right here. then we are going to get it on the second, we get it on the third, but we don't get it on the other pages. Besides the copy function, you have other ways to take care of your patterns and your tracks. And if you go to the pattern, the screen will take you to the pattern select, and you can also do function, and notice that right here it says save. This one will take you to the pattern screen, but right here you can save the pattern. Right here you can maybe select a new slot or stay on the same slot, and you can press OK and you will be saving the pattern. One thing that you need to know is that you need to save your project and your patterns manually. If you turn off the machine without saving the pattern, you will lose it. Now, this is not what I want to show you, because the pattern select and the pattern save, it's just pretty clear, but you can go to the menu and you get more options. You get edit the current pattern, and then you have rename the current pattern. Now, rename, it's just pretty simple. When you go to rename, you get this. You can use the different arrows and actions to rename the pattern. Pretty simple. Once you're ready, you press OK and you rename the pattern. Again, this is not what I want to show you. If you go to edit current pattern and you press OK, you have a few options. You have swap, you have copy, move, and clear. And notice at the very top, it says track edit. So this is talking about the different tracks that you have on your pattern. Let me show you how this works. First, I'm going to go to the swap and make sure that you're not playing back. This doesn't work if you're playing back. So when you go to the swap, it will ask you, okay, so you want to swap tracks. First, it's going to be the track that you will be selecting. So let's say I want to swap the track number 1 or the bass drum with a different track. And I'm going to maybe do the 2. So this one will take the kick, put it on the snare, and take the snare and then put it on the kick. If once you're ready, you just need to press OK. It will ask you, are you sure? Then you say yes, and it will just swap the different tracks. If I do clear and go all the way back, this one now is the snare and this one is the kick. Now, one thing that you need to know, and I'm going to go back to that screen and then go back to the menu, edit, and then I'm going to go to swap. You cannot swap tracks from 1 to 5 with the 6, 7, and 8. Remember that this 6, 7, 8 and the other ones, they use different structures. So maybe if I select the 1 and I want to put the kick, or maybe now it's going to be the snare, and I want to put it on the 7, well, that's just not going to work. I'm going to go here and then put it on the 7. And if I press OK, it will tell me, dude, you cannot do that. I'm going to go back to a default pattern and I'm going to reset pretty much everything. I'm going to say yes and go back. So we have the kick and then we have the snare. Now then the other options that you get, I will go to menu and then edit. You have the move. So what's the difference with the move and the swap? So the move will move a track, put it someplace else, and it will reset it back to default. So I'm going to be maybe going to the 1 and I'm going to put it on the 2. I'm going to say OK. It will ask me, are you sure? And I'm going to say OK. Then I'm going to get out and then go back. On the second one, I get the kick. So it's moving the track. And now this one, it's back to default. So I'm still getting the default kick that you get on that pattern. If you change the preset and you use something else, well, now it's going to change because it's going to reset this pad or this track to default. You can also copy function and then pattern and then go to menu and then OK. I'm going to go to copy, and this one is pretty simple. You just copy the track at the top and then you maybe paste it at the bottom. I'm going to take maybe the number 3 and I'm going to paste it on the number 1. I'm going to go and say OK. I'm going to say yes, and then it's going to copy that track. So now if I play it, we have the 3, and on the 3, we have the same one. I will go to function and then save again, then go back to the menu, go to the edit, and then go to clear. This one is a little bit different. If I go here, it will ask me to select the tracks that I want to clear, and here you can select multiple tracks. And this what it will do, it will clear the tracks that you select, which is a little bit different of what we do when we do clear and pattern. When we do that, we kind of delete or reset all the tracks, all the 8 tracks. On this one, you can select which track you want to kind of clear. So if I say OK, it will ask me, are you sure? I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to go back. And if we go to those tracks, we have the defaults. Still, like we discussed previously, you can hold clear and then go to pattern, and you can clear everything, maybe just the params, the nodes, the pressure or aftertouch information, or the param locks. And since we are here, let's talk about param locks. So if you come from the Electron world, you kind of already know what a param lock is. If you're new to this concept, this is a sequence recording or motion sequence. You have just different names for it. What you can do, you can just maybe go to a different param and record the different changes on the actual sequence. And you can do it live, or you can do it on a step-by-step. For example, let's say that I want to use a track, I want to record something, and then on each step I want to do something different with the cutoff. Now I'm going to go to function and then go to kit, and I will use the house kit. If I press OK, we have something a little bit more usable. So I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to go here, just press it, and I'm going to add the different steps just to get, a pattern. And if I play it back, we kind of get it. I'm going to get rid of the metronome. I'm going to just tap it and then just go back. So I'm going to go to the filter. And what I want to do, I want to modulate this control. I want to do something else on each of the steps. Well, you can, and that's called param locking. So I'm going to stop the playback, and what you need to do, you need to go to the step, hold it, and then just modulate or move the param or change the param that you want. I'm going to do it on the step number 1. I'm going to press and hold, and now I'm going to be maybe moving this. Notice that when I do this, the frequency, it's highlighted. And also, it has an icon. Maybe you can see it on your device. It has a plus right there. So this means that this property or this step has a param lock. And I'm going to do a little bit of resonance. Now both have a lock. If I release this, notice that this one, it's green. This means that this step has a lock, a param lock. And the other ones, they don't. I can go maybe to the 13 and do the same. If I hold this, I'm going to change the filter and the resonance, and we can do pretty much the same thing with all the other different steps. And I'm going to go and do it to the 10, why not? And do it to the 15 and do something like that. So now, when I play it, we have a motion on each of the steps, and that's called param locking, or motion sequence or sequence recording. So one thing that you need to know, again, is that when you go to the step and you maybe go to the filter, you press and hold, and notice that it tells you right there what you are doing in terms of param locking, and the values or the params are going to be highlighted with the normal value and the locked value. One thing that could be added on maybe a future firmware update is that when you add a param lock to one of the params, to the pages, this one maybe could blink or do something else, telling me that I have a param lock right here for this page. Because maybe, let's say that we have some locks on the filter and I go to the configuration page. How do I know that I have locks on the filter? I have no idea that we have locks on the filter. So, we need to go to the filter and then tap and then just check that you have the locks by looking at the properties. Can you do this while live recording? Of course you can. I'm going to do rec and then it will start recording. And we can just, move this manually and adjust it on real time. Same thing with the other params. If I want to do something else, we can. Cool, right? Right. Now, when you add some locks, how can you edit the locks or clear the locks? We kind of already know this. If I go to clear and I want to delete the locks for the whole pattern, remember we can go to clear, go to pattern, and it will ask you, do you want to clear what? If you go and select the locks, it will delete the locks for the whole pattern. Same thing, or same idea, if we go to clear and we go to this track. If I go to that track, it will ask me, and if I select locks, it will delete the locks for this track. But again, it will delete all the different locks What if I want to maybe just go to the step number 1 and edit or delete the lock for the step number 1? If I go to clear and hold it and then just tap it, that will delete the whole step. So, that doesn't work. Now, you have different ways of editing the locks. One way will be going to the step data. If I hold the function and then maybe go to the step number 1, we get this screen, which is the edit step data screen, and you can go to the different steps and just edit the different locks. And then you need to scroll with the A and you need to find the value for that lock. In this case, we have the WAP, which is the oscillator, the waveform. Then you can see the frequency and the resonance. And right here with the B, you can just edit the different locks. What if I want to delete the locks for this only for the step number 1? Well, you can do it from the screen. I'm gonna select the waveform and you need to do function and then clear, and it will delete that lock only for the step number 1. If I do the same for the frequency and the same thing for the resonance, notice that this one goes red, and now we don't have a lock there anymore. If I go to a different step, the same idea, I can go here, edit the different locks, or go to function and then clear the lock. Another way that you get to clear locks on a manual step-by-step fashion, you can go to that step and go to the page where you have the locks. You can see the highlighted values, so you know that the A and the B are locked. So you can do clear, just hold it, and then you can tap the value, and by doing that, you will be deleting the locks. Maybe you noticed, maybe you didn't, but the other steps, notice that they went red. When you do this, when you hold the clear and you tap the value that you locked, it will delete that lock for the whole pattern. If I go to this one, notice that we don't have locks there. But if I go to the oscillator, we know that we have a lock on the actual waveform. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to hold the clear and tap the A, and this will delete the lock, that lock for the whole pattern. Let me record some locks again. I'm going to do rec and then play. I'm going to just record something right here. Doesn't matter. Cool. All right, so we have a lot of different locks. You can go to clear, hold it, and then go to the track. We kind of know this. I'm going to go there. And instead of just selecting all or notes or whatever, I'm going to go to lock. I'm going to say OK, and this will delete the locks for the whole track. Not the pattern, the track, this one alone. And if you have a lot of locks on the actual pattern, just like before, clear and then pattern, and then go to lock, and it will clear all the locks. I'm going to go to a default pattern, the ones that you get from factory. I guess I'm going to select that one. If I play it back, we can about get it. That's fine. So, okay, so you have the mute modes. And this one is super important because it's something that you will use on a performance the whole time. If I go to mute and then press it, notice that this one goes kind of a yellow. On the screen, on the camera, it shows kind of a, let's say, orange. Well, it's yellow, actually. So if I tap this pad and this one and this one and this one, everything that is yellow, it means that it's muted. I can delete or mute the whole kit. And once you tap it and it's not yellow anymore, it means that it's not muted. And just by doing this, you can just kind of handle your performance. Right. Another thing that you can do when you get out of the mute mode, you just don't need to be on the mute mode. You can hold the mute and then tap it and release. So you don't need to be on mute mode. Cool. If I go to mute, press and hold and just mute everything, and I play it back, the sequence or the pattern is just playing back. But if I play something, of course, it's muted. I'm pressing the pads and I cannot hear anything. Now you have a different option that you can set on this system. If I go to function, hold it, and then go to system, you can go to the track mute. If you go there, the default option is sound, which means that when you mute something, what it will mute is the whole sound. What you can do here is that you can change it to pattern. So when you use pattern, you can mute the pattern, but it will not mute the sound. I'm going to go back, and I guess now we are back. Everything is muted, right? But now if I play a pad, I can I can play it. So we can unmute some of the parts, maybe, and while we are playing a performance, we can manually play the pad. Again, this is useful for performance reasons. And okay, so let's talk about the EFX section. If you keep tapping, you will be getting different screens. I want to be on the one where you get this screen. So your whole pattern, your 8 tracks, will go to the main mixer. Now, before they go to your main mixer, they will go through the EFX. And this is why you have this params right here. First, you get the configuration of the pattern. They will get an oscillator and a sound. They will generate a sound. They go through a filter, some modulation, then go to the amp, and then they will be sent to the EFX section. So think of this like a DAW, where you have all the different tracks, and then you send to your buses to process the sound. Again, if you go to the EFX and you keep tapping, you will be getting different pages. I want to be right here. This is the main EFX page. And if you go to the aux number 2, it will show you a list of different EFX patches. So this means that a pattern will use an EFX preset. If I play the track, this one is using the reverb preset. And right here, I can just simply go to different presets and they will give you a different effect. This case is just master compressor or maybe a sidechain compressor, and you get other different type of effects. All right, so I'm gonna go back to, I guess, the default, which it was reverb. Now, of course, you can create your own presets. If I keep going down, notice that you have empty slots. So you can save up to 256 slots. When you are on the patch or on the EFX patch select, notice that the configuration and the oscillator, they are on. So the EFX will divide all the 256 slots on 2 different banks, the A and the B. And one thing that you need to know is that if you create a preset and then you use it on many patterns, if you change that preset, it will change for all the patterns using that preset. So you kind of need to be careful with this. Okay, so we know that when we work with the effects, we work with presets, and you can go here, change your presets, or create your own preset. So now what we do is we need to understand how this works. On the main EFX page, you have 5 possible EFX routings. On each routing, you can use an FX1 that you can turn it on like that, second FX, a reverb, and then a master FX. And notice that I can just turn them all on and off from here. So what's the deal with this? You have a 1. So this is the first possible routing. And you have many. You just need to press this button. You will be using the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, and then you go back to the number 1. The type of routing that you're using, it's super important. I'm going to go and stay on the 1. If you take a look at the chart, you can see that the EFX1 receives some sound, then it will go to the EFX2, then the EFX2 will go to the reverb, and then the reverb will go to the master effects. So if you have a chorus on the EFX1 and then a delay on the EFX2, whatever is that you send to the EFX1 will go to the EFX2. So you're sending a chorus to a delay. Whatever comes out from the chorus and the delay will go into the reverb. And that's fine if you want to use this routing. If I maybe go to the number 3, notice that this one is completely different. You can send directly to the EFX1, and the EFX1 will not go into the EFX2. It will go to the reverb, and only then the reverb goes to the master effects. Completely different to the number 1. If I go to maybe the number 4, notice how this one works. Again, completely different. You're still sending to the EFX1 and the 2 separately, and instead of going to the reverb, they go directly to the MFX, and then it will come out from the MFX, and then it goes to the reverb. So again, completely different configuration. I'm gonna use the number 3 just to give you a couple of examples. I'm gonna go here, we send to the 1, the 2, and then from the 1 and the 2, we go to the reverb, and then it goes out to the master effects. If you go to the EFX, you can keep tapping and it will cycle through the EFX1, then it will go through to the EFX2, and then it will go to the reverb, and then to the master effects. So the effects are just common effects. I'm going to just turn them on from here, and then I'm going to go to the first one, and this one is just a chorus. But we can go here, select the type, and just choose a different type of effects. We can use a chorus, a delay, flanger, and you have a lot of different effects. You can go really wild on this one. Now, all the different effects will just have a different effect. So I guess I'm going to go first on the number 1 to the chorus. Once you select one, you just press. And then once you are inside on the EFX, each A, B, C, and D will do something very specific for that effect. If I go to the number 2 can be something else. I can go to the type, and then maybe on this one, select a delay. I'm going to press the A to select it, or you can do OK. And notice that now we have a different configuration for the A, the B, the C, and the D. So now when we send to the EFX, we will be sending to the EFX1, which is a chorus, and the EFX2, which is a delay. I can go to the C and enable the reverb and the master effects. And if I keep just tapping, I get to the reverb. And again, you just get the most common configuration options or param options that you could get on a reverb. And then the master effects is a little bit different. You would think that this one is pretty much the same as the other effects, but it's not. You get a filter, a compressor, a master compressor, and then a sidechain compressor. And then you have some performance tools like remix and then snip loop. In a few days, I'm going to upload a different video showing you how the performance mode works. And I'm going to show you some of these effects. For now, I'm just going to go to the sidechain compressor and then just press OK. If you think about this, that's pretty much it. We have the routing, set it up. Then if we want to change the chorus, we can do so. The delay, we can do so. The reverb, and then we send to a sidechain compressor. That's it. You can change the routings if you must. But the question is, how can you send to the different EFX or the reverb or maybe the master effects? Well, you do it from the amp page of each different track. I'm going to go, to this one, and then I'm going to go to the amp. If you tap again the amp, you will see the EFX bus. The A will change where you're going to send. If I toggle this one, you can go direct out without going through the effects. You can go to the EFX. This one is the chorus. I can go to the number 2. If you remember, that's the delay. And then you can go to the MFX. When you're sending directly to the MFX, the B knob controls how much you send to the MFX. And if I go up, notice that we get that reverb sound. If we go back to the EFX, we see the routings, and we know that we are sending to the reverb and we are sending to the MFX. So if I go back to the amp, I know that I'm sending to the MFX and the reverb from here. Then at the bottom, you have the C, and the C knob, it's how much you send to the sidechain compressor. Now, this only works if on the EFX and on the MFX, actually, you're using a sidechain compressor. If you are using something else, this control, the sidechain compressor control, does absolutely nothing. And that's it. When you create, and that's pretty much it. When you create your patterns, you go to your different tracks, you decide how much you want to send to the reverb, and if you want to send to the MFX, you can go to the direct or maybe to the 2. And then you go one by one, sending to the different locations. And that's pretty much it. Again, the most important part is to decide which routing you want to use and then configure all the different effects that you will use. Since now we know how the EFX works, I'm going to go to the amp, and I'm using the default kit that we get from default pattern. So when you go to the amp, of course, you get the bus options to send to the EFX. But if I tap it one more time, you get the main output envelope, the amp envelope. And this one shapes the output of the volume of the track. So if I go here, maybe to this one, which is the synth type of sound, the envelope will shape how the sound goes out. And it's, the volume. And we have an attack control. We have a decay, so I can just make it short decay. And then the next option is going to be a DR. If you're asking what this is, it's kind of a sustain and release, pretty much. If you tap the A, you get access to the other params. This one, the A, is going to be the curve. By default, if you're on 0, it means that the curves of the envelope are linear. But if you go up, it's going to be upwards. And if you go down, it's going to be downwards. I'm going to put it on 0 for now. Then this one, you have a distortion. You can crash it. And maybe I'm going to change some of this. Maybe I'm going to make it sustain. I'm going to go back. And again, you get distortion. And at the bottom, pretty simple controls. You have the volume. You can go down in volume from here, or you can pan the sound to the left and you can pan it to the right. Fine. Okay, so that's it. That's what you get. You get the envelope, and then you get a curve, a distortion, the pan, and the level. Now I couldn't find a way to reset the values to default. The only way I can do it is just resetting the param, which is, it's not optimal. If I do clear and I tap this, nothing happens. This could be something that they could add on a firmware update. But wishful thinking. And okay, let's talk about the filter. And this one is super simple, just like the amp param page. Now I'm going to use the number 5 because I guess it sounds like a synth. You get the cutoff on the A, the resonance on the B, but first you need to select the type of filter that you can use. So you just need to move it, and then you can use a low pass, and then and only then you can change the frequency and the resonance. You can use a high pass, then you have a band pass, and then you have different modes, and all of them depend on the gain. Not all of them, just some of the filters. They depend on the amount of gain that you use. So if you do no gain, you're not doing anything pretty much. All right, so that's how it works. You just use a filter, choose a type, and then you use your cutoff and your resonance. Now, the other most common thing that you get with a filter is a way to modulate the cutoff when you play a key or when you play a note. So that one is going to be the envelope. So I'm going to tap this, it will take you to the next page, or you just can, tap the filter pad and it will take you to the page number 2. And again, right here, you don't have something super different than what you get on the amp page. You get just a very simple envelope with an attack. You have a decay, and in this case, you have a delay. You don't have a release or sustain. Then you have the depth, which is going to be how much you're going to be modulating the filter. So maybe I can add a little bit of attack, do a little bit more decay, and go a little bit more aggressive. And that's it. You're just using that envelope to modulate the filter. One cool extra thing that you get on the envelope is tapping the B. This one will just make the envelope, or it will convert the envelope into a looping envelope. So when you press and hold, it will just, loop the envelope. That's pretty much it. And then at the bottom, you can just press the aux B and it will just invert the envelope. All right, so moving on, we need to talk about the mod, and this one looks complex or a little bit weird, but it's just very cool and very simple. Now that we know how the EFX works, I'm going to go to the actual reverb. I'm going to send a little bit of reverb, so it's not that annoying. It will go to the mod, and on this one you have 3 different modulation sources. If I keep tapping, you get them right there. You have a velocity modulation source. You can use aftertouch, or you can use an envelope. First, I'm gonna go to the velocity. With the velocity, you can modulate 2 different sources. So to assign a source, you need to press the assign right here. When you choose the assign, you will see the modulation for the 1 and the 2, right? So you can do 2 modulations. You can modulate 2 things. So with the A, you will select the modulation or the target that you want for the 1, and then the target that you want for the 2. In this case, I will just use the number 1. I'm going to keep scrolling down until you see tune. So there you go, tune. So once you have your target, you just press OK. And now the velocity will modulate the tune of whatever sound I'm using. Now if I press something, nothing will happen. So you need to provide how much you will modulate whatever target. If I go up and now I play, the velocity will modulate the pitch of the sound. If I go down, it will just modulate the tone or the tune down. And that's pretty much it. You select your target and then you decide how much you want to modulate down or up with your velocity. Now then you have the D, the C and the D are going to be the threshold. If I go all the way up to 127, it means that the velocity will not really do anything because that's the threshold, but maybe I can put it right here on 95. And if I play soft, I'm going to get no modulation, but only when I go over 95 on velocity, of course, it will do the modulation. Remember, you have two sources that you can use. So the next one, and I guess I'm going to go all the way up to 127, or maybe, you know what, I can go right here to assign and then just go to off. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to move on to the next modulation. And this one works exactly the same. The only difference is that instead of using velocity, we use aftertouch. I will go to assign and then find the tune so we can modulate the tune of the oscillator. And I'm using tune because it's just pretty obvious to hear. I'm going to say OK. And then you need to decide how much you want to modulate with aftertouch. So if I play and use aftertouch, you know, we get it. If I go down, we get the same, but, you know, down. And the C and the D will be the threshold, same as the velocity. I will go to assign and then just turn it off. And then the other one is going to be the envelope. And you just get an envelope. It works the same way. Now on this one, the different thing that you get from the other ones is that you can only modulate one single source. If I go to assign, I just get one. And right here, we do the same. I'm going to go to the tune. There we go. Just tune. I will select it. And when we use it, we need to decide how much we modulate with the attack, how much we get it with the decay. Then at the bottom, you have a delay. So it's the same envelope. And then you have the depth control with the D. And that's it. That's pretty much it. You can go into negatives if you wanted to. All right. I'm gonna go at the B, and on this one you can do a looping envelope as well. And those are the modulation sources that you get. Okay, so now it's time to talk about the oscillators. I will use the number 5 and maybe some of the other tracks. I know that the oscillator screen or Param page looks a little bit complex. It can be complex depending on what you want to do, but it's really not. The options or the controls are very simple to understand, but you can spend a long time doing sound design. Now, let me first show you how this works. On the oscillator page, you have two oscillators, the 1, and then you can go to the 2. On this structure or maybe sound engine, you only get 2 oscillators. But then if I go to a kick, you don't get the 2, you only get the 1, but you get a noise generator and a tick generator. So depending on which sound structure or engine that you're using, it's what you can use as an oscillator. On this screen, on the oscillator page, you can change the structure. You can do it on the sound when you go to the sound and then you go to the B and then you select a different structure. But if I go to the oscillator, if you do function and then you go to the B, you can select a different engine or structure. Another thing that you can do here, if you go to the aux and the B, it will take you to the preset, to the patch, so you can select a different patch. When you are on an oscillator, you can go to the A, and when you tap it, it will mute that oscillator. If I go to the other one and I tap it as well, on this engine, we only have 2 oscillators, so we will be getting absolutely nothing. But yeah, tapping the A will just mute it. In this case, I guess I'm just gonna maybe use the oscillator number 1. The A, if you scroll it, it will give you a wavetable. because this is a wavetable type of deal. And you have a total of 64 wavetables that you can use. I'm going to go all the way down maybe to this one. I guess this one is fine. Since this is a wavetable, you need a way to loop the wavetable. And you can do it with the B, which sets the end, and then the C will change the start. So if I change or go to the end, that is that if I play, it will sweep that wavetable. And right here, you set the start, and then maybe I'm going to set the end right there. Right. Now, one thing that you cannot do is to leave or maybe not to sweep the wavetable. What you can do is to first set the start and then go all the way down on the end, and it will just not sweep it. Now, in this case, I do want to sweep, so I'm going to go all the way up. Now, the C is going to be how you loop. And you have a lot of different options. I'm just going to press it and just show you the different options that you get. You get up, you get down, and then you get up and down, and you get combinations of this, down and up, and then it's kind of a going up with a curve. And then you have the same options, but you can loop them, just like, you know, you would do on a wavetable. And again, same options, down, down and up, with looping, and so on and on. And then you get into the kind of a weird ones. I wouldn't say weird, they're really cool. You get a noise or random, and then you get a stepped type of motion with the random at the beginning. And again, you have a lot of different variations of the same. This is a step 1, and you can do 3 in terms of steps, and then you can do 4. Now the thing is that you need to decide how it goes up and down, how it loops. Well, that's going to be the D. So you have the speed, and then you have the curve. The speed is going to be how fast it's going to go. So if I go up, it's going to be super fast. And then the curve, of course, you will be going to an exponential or logarithmic type of curve. Another thing that you can do, maybe I'm going to go down in the speed, is going to be the release. So I'm going to tap it, and now we can edit the release. Now the release is not something super special. We can go all the way down and make it no release, and this is the release for the amp. If I go to the amp, notice it just looks pretty much the same, right? So when you change this, you're just changing the release of the amp. Remember that you do have an oscillator number 2, and depends on the algorithm. So if I enable this one, if I play it, now we can do something else, and we can combine 2 different oscillators just to get something super cool. On other type of sound engines, if I maybe go to the kick, notice that you don't get a second oscillator. You only get one. And this one, you have a noise generator where you can do the same. I'm going to turn off the oscillator, but this one gives you a noise type of generator. I'm going to go up on the level. If I go up on the time, you can select different type of noises. Again, you just need to play around with this. I can mute it as well. And if I go to the next one, this one is going to be a tick. So maybe you can hear it. I'm going to go up in level. You have different modes, so you can create your own percussive type of sounds. Remember that you can change your oscillators and everything else that you get on the screen, but you also need to work with your sound. If I go to the sound right here, you can change a lot of the properties that you have for your engine, and this is a must. Because sometimes, depending on the sound that you're using, the oscillator 2 will frequency modulate something else. Or maybe there's a noise doing a little bit of frequency modulation. You also have a ratio. So it depends on what you do. This is something that you really need to go and edit. Just to, get a different sound or just create your own sound. Right, so since now we know how to use the sounds, how to use the oscillators, the filter, the mod, the amp, we can create our own sounds. So now we need to talk about kits, and this is something super important. I'm going to play a pattern, It's a pattern that you get by default from factory. If you do function and you go to the kit, you can select a different kit. And it will be playing that kit, which is a combination of the 8 different sounds, a different combination. And it will just play that. Of course, each track sound, it's using a preset or patch. The kit is the combination of 8 different presets. Cool. Now, if you want to use that preset, that's fine. You just need to press OK. It will use that kit. So once you have a combination of 8 different presets that you want, you just need to go back to the kit and notice that you have a menu option. So when you go to the menu, you can save it and you need to go to an empty slot. I'm going to go here to menu and you have the option to load, but in this case, we want to save and you can import from the SD card. Now on this video, since it's too long, I didn't cover the SD card. I'm going to do it on a different video. But then you can also go to the other kits and you have other options like renaming and then loading. And let me just go back. I'm going to go here and go to menu. And again, notice that you can export, import, you can delete. Every time that on this device that you see import or export is talking about the SD card. And then you can load, save, and rename. Pretty simple stuff. One thing that you need to remember is that if you save a drum kit, it doesn't mean that you're saving the patterns or the presets, that it's something that you need to do manually. Okay, so let me give you my opinion. I know that this is a deep dive and maybe you don't care about my opinion, but maybe you do. This tiny device is just massive. And I gotta be honest, this CYDRUMS is my first Sonicware device. And I gotta be honest, I was not expecting much. I had very low expectations. But you know, what you can do with this is just crazy, especially for the price. It's quite affordable for all the things that it delivers. It's missing a couple of features like maybe the Param locks I mentioned before. All of those things could be added on a firmware update. But you know, again, for the money that you pay, for the price that you pay for this, it's a no-brainer, I think. But again, this is the deep dive, is a course. It's not about my opinion. Now, if you learned something new and you liked all of this, please like and subscribe. And if you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks, you can. You have links at the description for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon.